Big up Spurs fans near and far with your boy back again, Deji Spurs with another vid, and I've got my brothers with me. I have to say it's a pleasure to be with my brothers because I've spent all week firefighting the flies, the mosquitoes from Chelsea and also the mosquitoes that, we've got kind of mutated mosquitoes coming from the red side of North London. So we've done that, we squatted them, we slapped them, we squashed them. And now, really, what I've done, we'll come home to have a conversation about Postecoglou. Because what the hell is going on with our club? Big up to everyone in the chat. Thank you very much, Arsenal Manic. Love for that. Thank you. Supported me from day one. Big up to you. We've got Aston Villa in the building. Aston Villa fans wanting to get the inside hint as to what's going on. Don't go shaking your bum, Villa fans. You still got to finish the job. You still got to finish off your dinner. You still got to get those wins in. Big up to Anthony Clark, Arsenal fan in the building. Raw is war. Dan the Guffer, Arsenal fans, Jay Greens, big up to you. Arthur, Zeus, Jay in the building. First and foremost, quick one. How you doing, Arthur? It's been a minute.
Yeah, I'm good, man. I'm good. A bit shaky on the Spurs stuff, but I'm good. Overall picture, I'm still going to be on the positive side of the fence. Cool. I'll give you that. Give you a heads up on that.
Give us a little dose. Give us a little heads up. Zeus, how are you, mate?
I'm good. Can't complain. Summer is about to start out here, so very excited for that. But in general, good. Not revealing too much, but I'll say actually, you know what? I'll take that back. Maybe the season is kind of ending rather slow, like petering out, but still positive.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
And Jay in the building, what are you saying, my bro?
I'm good. I apologize in advance for the red cup. It's again couldn't be helped, but I'm okay. I'm okay. Like, and people look, you okay? I'm okay. It's suboptimal what's going on right now. Yeah, it could be going a lot better. I'm sure we'll get to the bottom of it. Me personally, I'm very calm and logical. If you don't really see me talk or something, I'm very relaxed about Spurs. C'est la vie. It's one of those. So I can be critical of Spurs. I'm not a Spurs critic.
Cool. I love that. Critical of Spurs, but not a Spurs critic. So I want to start us off, and it kind of stems from a super chat that I got earlier in the day from a someone who calls them Chelsea through and through, and he says, Tottenham aren't gonna copy or get to the same level as Arsenal. And I'll tell you where that stems from. So Arsenal, let's just have a quick reminder. Arsenal under Arteta, in the first season, they finished 8th. They got the FA Cup, just about got the FA Cup over the line. They then finished 8th again in the second season. Season 3, they were 5th, before we saw the explosion of what is now called a different brand of football, where we saw Arsenal finish 2nd, and we are where we are. They are currently top of the Prem. Now, for me, I believe they've been going through a process. The first 3 seasons, Arteta wasn't adapting. He wasn't changing his style. Why? Because he was trying to get ingrained in the players, the DNA, his style of football, how he wants the team to play. And then once he's ingrained his style of football into his club, then it's easy to start making the tweaks, the adaptations to the squad to see where we are now, where Arsenal are humbling themselves against our beloved club, where they decided to relinquish ball possession because they realized in that moment they would have got slapped up by our club. And I respect that. They knew the only way to beat Spurs was to do a smash and grab, was to not have the ball, go long, and hit us on the counter. And it worked a treat. I'm seeing Postecoglou, and I'm seeing, dare I say it, similarities between Postecoglou and what he's trying to do with Spurs and Arteta and what he did at Arsenal. I think right now we need to stay calm, like what Jay said. I think wherever happens, 5th is a respectable place to finish so far this season. It's respectable. I would have taken 8th with better football at the beginning of the season. So 5th is good. I think what we need to now see from Postecoglou is progress in season 2. That could be 4th with the Carabao Cup. Then, maybe in season 3, FA Cup and top 4 before we now start challenging for the league. So I think Spurs are almost doing could be doing a similar trajectory in terms of Arsenal. And if that's the case, we need to give Postecoglou time. I know it's not pretty. I know it's very painful right now. We don't like it, but we were warned. We were told we are going to have some painful period as well as some great period. So there's a lot of Tottenham fans who are getting angry. He's not a tactician. There's no plan B. What is he doing? We can't adapt. How can he say he doesn't give a damn about set pieces? And all I want to say to them is, mate, chill out. It's all part of the plan. It is all part of the plan. However, I'm not going to lie. These 2 performances have been royally dusty. I mean, that Arsenal performance was crap. We should have turned up. I didn't like the starting lineup. We should have gone in stronger. But yesterday, we turned up and we looked like a bunch of pussies against that Chelsea team. We didn't want it. We didn't want to fight. There was no fight. You can't go into a London derby with no fight. So as for me, the one thing I will say before I hand over to you, Arthur, is this is the first time this season where I felt like he might have lost the dressing room, man. He looked lost. The players looked lost. And I read something in one of the WhatsApp groups today where it said that he tried to take the players to an Australian restaurant to have a chat. They waited 2 hours and then the boys left. I saw that and I couldn't find it again. I really hope that ain't the case. I believe in Postecoglou, but at the same time, I'm really finding it hard to defend him because the stuff he's doing, it is stupid and naive. But I don't know, Arthur, what are you saying?
I kind of agree with pretty much all that you've said there, apart from the very end bit. I don't think he's doing anything stupid or naive. I think he's doing exactly what he said he would do from the very beginning. He hasn't deviated. He's been really consistent. Like everything about his coaching is very specific, right? And so when people start questioning him about the set piece situation, he's not saying he doesn't mind conceding at set pieces. He's just saying that if he starts focusing on the small details before the bigger picture is sorted, then they won't progress with the bigger picture because you can't keep firefighting. You can't keep putting out fires that come up. You need to fucking deal with the whole picture. You need to stop getting distracted. You need to stop listening to the fans who are getting impatient. You need to stop listening to the board who are getting impatient. You just need to stick to your guns. Yeah. And I think he has been so consistent with that. You might not agree with it, but you certainly can't accuse him of being inconsistent. So I think he's just sticking to his guns. I think this is exactly the sort of performance you get from a team that is capable of doing really good, of playing a really good game, but haven't yet got it in their bones. And I think you're right. What Arsenal did against us was, in some way humbling by giving us the ball, but in some ways it's been a bit nice to us to say they were doing it because they were scared of getting beat by us. They were doing it because they knew we would make mistakes. The way we play football, we can't afford to lose the ball cheaply, even in the opposition's penalty area, like we did with Kulusevski, right? We can't afford to do that against Arsenal because they'll get us with 3 passes and 5 seconds and they scored a goal. And they knew that we would do that because we are not the finished article. It's exactly what he said after the game. He said, Arsenal are a machine. They've been doing what they've been doing for a while. They are completely all over the little details. They did not look flustered. They did not let emotions take over the game. They just operated on us like a machine because they are completely second nature with what they're doing. Yeah. And we're just not there yet. And we can't be there yet because that takes time and you can't speed that shit up. So I just see it. I get angry at the game. I leave the game. I left the lane after the Arsenal game really pissed off, obviously, devastated, frustrated, angry, all the stuff I'm allowed to feel. But then on reflection, that was a very typical performance of where we're at as a team. We continued throwing men forward. We tried, even though we didn't have a rhythm in the game. We didn't suddenly go defensive, and we did still get a couple of goals and a bit of dignity back in the second half. And we lost to a team which, we hate to say it because it's them not down the road, but who are just better at doing that than us. And I think you're right. I think you're right, Edge. I think you're right to compare like the journey to Arteta, but I think you should also compare it to Klopp. You could even compare it to Guardiola, although his trajectory is quicker, because the similarities, the style of football these managers are playing is exhausting. But all of these managers require their players to have the ball, to move it quickly, and to have that sort of natural integration where everyone knows where everything is all the time, and that takes time. And that you can see that in Klopp. You can look at Arteta's like beginnings at Arsenal, but Klopp, in his first full season, he finished fourth. In his second full season, he finished fourth. Right, got to the fourth round of the FA Cup, and in that season, in his second full season, we smashed them at Wembley 4-1, and he was playing Dejan Lovren at the halfway line, and everyone said, "You're mad, Klopp. You don't know how to manage in the Premier League. You can't have your defenders on the halfway line. Look at Lovren, he's shit." And he went, "All right, I'll just go and buy Virgil van Dijk." And I think that's what we're doing. We're playing the football he wants to play, and he will get the players he needs to play it. But we're not going to wait to get them before we start playing this football, because that's not his mentality. And I think in the long run, that's going to win out.
Respect to that. I like that. Zeus, and then I'll bring in Jay. I like that.
Okay, cool. Wait, quick question, Arthur. Were you at the game?
I was at the Arsenal game. Yeah.
You were. Oh, cool. All right, cool. But yeah, regarding, Spurs and Ange as a whole, when the season started, I said eighth. If eighth is a good season, right? And my whole thing was beginning of the season, as long as we don't have like a terrible manager, like we have a manager with something there, right? Someone like Nuno, like there was not. Well, yeah, I guess there was really not a lot there, right? So that was my whole thing. Let's get the manager right for the first bit, and he definitely has his principles that that overachieved in the first half of the season, right? Like when we were going unbeaten, top of the league, I said whatever. As long as we're playing good football and we finish in the top half, that's a good season. I never said, hey, we're going to win the title, Champions League, even. That was a bit of a stretch, I thought. But, and he's always been consistent in saying that there's growing pains, right? There's going to be some high highs, there's going to be some low lows. He's always said that. He's never wavered. And what he's always said, even when we're winning, is that the attacking patterns are not there yet.
Yeah.
Right? So with the game yesterday, I think why I was kind of, took the blame and hard on himself was that the players were not attacking the way he wanted. And this thing about conceding and set pieces, like, I don't know, people concede from set pieces all the time. Like, I think that's his focus. The focus is very much the attacking side of things. And yeah, at the Chelsea game, there was not much at all. But by the way, Madison, like, holy man, what's going on there? But yeah, with the Chelsea game, not a lot of attacking at all, which is very worrying to say the least. Yeah. But the Arsenal game, Arsenal were up 3-0, but they didn't, it wasn't like a Pep Guardiola type of masterclass, right? Our 2 goals too, like we didn't really do much there too. That was a weird game. They were the better team, but I don't think they didn't deserve to go ahead 3-0. So I don't know. Ange has always said there's going to be high highs, low lows. He's definitely overachieved his first season. Now it's time to start thinking about the summer and who are the players that can come and really fit his system. But what's worrying a little bit is that if we finish the season on a very downward, does Levy open up the coffers, or does he hold back a little bit? So I'm thinking that, I'm going to jump in the gun a little bit early with predictions, but I think we need to get at least 7 points the next 4 games, I believe. And then it's like Levy, we can really go gung-ho and start thinking about superstar left winger, maybe getting Hoyt.
Yeah, we'll get into that. We're going to get into that anyway. We're going to get into that.
I'm fully on board. I'm fully on board with the manager, man. All this other stuff is just noise.
Okay, cool. Brilliant. Jay, I'll bring you in, and then I've got some questions from the chat that I want us to answer. But Jay, your initial thoughts as well.
So yeah, everyone's kind of covered some decent ground. So I'm gonna go with a logical alternate take for people to consume. So I used to be someone that complained about people that complained, ergo becoming a vacuum within myself there. So now I listen to people complaining and I try and understand where they're coming from. So for me, watching Ange, I wanted Ange. He was my number one pick, even in March, April last year, because I could see the personality he had, the style of football he had, the fact that we would be a step up from where he was. He wouldn't use us as a stepping stone per se. I was like, yeah, okay, Ange, he's our guy. Now, where the club wants to be and what the club's trying to do moving forward, football's about winning, right? Deep down, at the end of it, right? It's about winning. And there's a very thin line between the Bielsas and the Peps from an actual technical coaching actual perspective. But sometimes somebody can be too romantic with it and somebody can be a little bit more pragmatic with it. And what I'm watching at the moment is romance. And I love romance. I'm a huge fan of romance.
Same.
But if you are going to be in a relationship with somebody for 10 plus years, you need some pragmatism because it's not going to be romantic all the time.
Yeah.
Now, the question to me is he a romantic or does he have pragmatism in it? As in, Arteta, when he started doing this thing, people are going to talk about this, but he had Tierney. Tierney was an essential part of his team. Fast forward a couple of years, Tierney's not an important part of the team. They're happy to send him on loan. The point is that he looked at what he was doing and he said, you know what? I can't play with this kind of left back if I want to do what I'm trying to do. So no matter how good I think you are, Tierney, you're not going to be my left back, right?
Yeah, that's fair. That's a legit point.
So when you make these changes, Gabriel White, okay, White moves to right back, and Saliba comes into the team. These decisions where we look at the team right now and we have to acknowledge that this will not be the team in 18 months' time. And I think sometimes when you look at the team now, you expect it to be the finished team because you individually rate these players. We look at these players. Benson's good. Sar's good. Why would we put them together and they're not doing it? Because they're good in isolation. Are they good for this system? And a big thing for me recently is the mentality. These players, they're showing me a fugazi mentality. They're not showing, and I appreciate that some of them are young and stuff like that, but it's like some of our players seem like fair weather players to me. As in, if the sun's shining and everything's going well and we're in form, it's like, fantastic. But the players' emotional intelligence, I say, like when things go wrong, sometimes when things aren't going perfectly, they can be very expressive of this isn't going well. Do you know what I mean?
I want to just butt in, but who's an example of a player that's like a fair weather player to you?
So Bazuma's, Poros, even Sa, like when everything's going well and people don't know you as a player, they don't know your attributes, they don't know whether to press you or not press you, you're in good form, you're fully healthy. No, okay, let's say you're at 85%. You've got a little niggle, this and that, blah, blah, blah. It's not perfect. What's your performance saying? 6 out of 10. Okay, what's your performance the next week? 6 out of 10. What about the following week? 6 out. Okay, we're in bad form. We need 6 out of 10. So I'm not questioning these players and saying they're not good enough. I'm saying that when it's Dyer or Davies or Højbjerg, it's very easy for the fan base to say you are not good enough for this team. But when it's Porro, when it's Sarr, when it's Bazuma, is it as easy for you? Because when I look at the performances of some of the players that our fan base says aren't good enough over like a year period, I'll be like, are these other players playing that much better than how those players were playing in those periods? And it's uncomfortable questions. So to me, it tells me more about the players' consistency and what the players are giving us. like from an effort level, I always say, if our players ran like Newcastle run, we would lose very few games.
Yeah, I agree.
Do you know what I mean?
But then the I suppose that's a style of football we don't play, right?
No,
It's not just about the willingness to run. It's about the knowledge of when to run. Like we've seen in times gone by with like strikers who've been struggling to score for us, who we love for some reason, who they really desperately want to succeed at Spurs, and all they do is run themselves into the ground and make the wrong runs. You know, there's probably some reasons why Newcastle have had even worse injury problems than we've had this season. Like it's about organisation, isn't it? And it's about like knowing when to run. I think with some of the criticism, I completely agree with the players, but a lot of those players that you said we don't criticise so much are younger players. Like I do feel like Sarr hasn't done much this season I'm
not necessarily saying criticize the players. I'm not a huge fan.
No, I mean in terms of their consistency.
I'm more saying, is this player good enough for where we want to be? Yeah, and if they're not, how long will it take them? And are we going faster than they're going? Which one's faster?
But that's what I mean. If I think one might feel like you give that time to the younger players, because ideally what we want to do is have a system where we see who can develop into it as well as who we can bring in. And it might be clear that it was pretty clear that Dyer was not going to develop into Postecoglou's system, whereas Udogie, Sarr, these are players that we can give some time to see if they will develop into it, even if they're inconsistent now. I think it's understandable to say, I don't have time for that inconsistency, Davies, or that inconsistency, Dyer, because I don't see you ever not being inconsistent.
I've got a question as well. Go on.
I was saying that logic is in real time, like I'm saying, which is going faster. Our aspirations of a club. So let's say, okay, you'll be where we need you to be, but you need basically 90 minutes to get there. And in those 90 minutes, you might have 5 stinkers, 5 okay performances, 5 good performances, and 5 top performances across those 20 games. Now, you need to complete those 20 games in order to, let's say, unlock the next level. As a club, how many of those first 10 games can you tolerate, to keep playing that player through when you have aspirations of being where we want to be?
Well, it's about your choice, right? Because you can't go into the transfer market outside the window, and you don't really want to make massive seismic changes. I mean, we bought a lot of players last summer, and then we topped up in January. We were the biggest spenders, in the league pretty much. And so I think within the actual time frame when you can't go out and replace these players, I think that is the time where you have to continue with it to prove, to either go, look, we need to ship these players on to a club that they can perform at, or actually we can invest more time with this player because they're getting there. Like there's not much choice within the season, is there? And in terms of going back or going, well, maybe we should bring Dyer back. Obviously we can't bring him back, but maybe we shouldn't have sent him to Bayern Munich.
No,
we should have definitely sent him.
I'm just saying as a general kind of thing. I know none of us are saying that. I'm just saying as a general kind of extreme example, is that I would just go, I'd give the youngsters a go if the alternative is a more senior player that we know is not going to develop into it. That's my approach.
No, I think that's a fair point. The other thing though, just following on from that, because I also developed a theory earlier this week, and we know that the Ange ball is basically short for high risk, high reward. Okay. And to play high risk, high reward football, you need every piece in that puzzle to be at 100%. Because when the players are at 100%, there is nothing anyone can do. And I reckon the first 10 games was evident of that. Nobody could stop us. It was just too much. The way we were sourcing, the way we were playing, we were just putting them under a lot of pressure. However, with the high risk, high reward football, is there an argument that if people are not at their top of their game, they're just, for whatever, football, they might be carrying a slight knock, they might not just be in the mood for it, then it opens up and shows you the cracks. And if that is a legitimate argument, then surely there's something around Postecoglou being able to recognize this factor and then adapting the squad accordingly. Because I'm not being funny. I think some of the reason why a lot of the Spurs fan base have been pretty pissed off in recent games is not because they're not happy with Postecoglou. It's just because some of the goals we've conceded, some of the way that we've played, it could have been avoidable. That starting lineup against Arsenal was the dustiest I've seen us play all season with every man available. We all knew, do not have Ben Davies there out on the left. Do not have him left alone with Saka, because 1v1, he will rip Ben Davies a new one and put a hole in his shorts. We knew that. So when it happened, you're like, but why did you do this? I was complaining with Ash on We Are Tottenham TV just before the game started. Do not start Højbjerg. Please don't start Højbjerg. So when Højbjerg scores the own goal, I'm like, well, that own goal doesn't happen if Højbjerg doesn't start. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just saying, is there something about him being able to acknowledge that, so that we've lost 10 games? I think even in his first season, if things had gone well, we shouldn't be losing more than 7 games this season. I don't know. I'm just throwing it out there. Do you think that's a valid point? This is not feeling it.
I'm saying that from. I mean, not really. Like, as in, I'll let you go first, because I'm gonna try and put.
I'll say no. It's not a valid point. Like, all this armchair managing that everyone does, social media. Oh, start this, start that. You guys don't see what he sees on a daily basis, right? I mean, some of it is form-based, some of it is obvious. But okay, hang on a sec though. We can acknowledge that the drop-off in the sub, the left back and right back, the drop-off is huge, right?
Especially from a dog at the moment. Yeah.
Right? And that's a squad issue. That's not on him. Now, I guess the other option is that you bring in Van de Ven and maybe Dragusin plays center back. Maybe he doesn't feel Dragusin is ready, right? There's a bunch of things that we don't see, we don't know, and everyone's just bellowing this, don't do that, oh, do that. But at the same time, these guys are professionals, right? These are professional football players that they can pretty much play every, to some degree, every position. Like if we go play the game and pick up. They're not specialists at it, but they should be able to do a decent job. And sometimes you just have to live with that. You're going to be saying, okay, my left back is not that great, so I'm probably going to have to work harder as a midfielder to kind of offer some coverage. These guys are professionals. Like, they should be able to. This entire squad is at fault. Like, of course you can upgrade, but I don't think you can just say Ange is crazy, because this was Ben Davies has played that position multiple times. Right. Actually, I think when we had like the big injury crisis, he did like him and Royal. They did very good.
But they were centre back though. They were centre back. And
we went to Man City and drew 3-3 with them as centre back. Like, these players aren't.
Which was crazy. Like how who would have expected that? But I'm just saying, like, these guys are professionals, and ideally they're supposed to be able to adapt to any type of situation. And to kind of put the fault on Ange for not having a good enough squad, I think is wild. Like, we know that those guys are not as good as the starters. There's a reason why they're on the bench. But to fault him for going with, I guess, the person that is trained for that role, like the natural progression, I think that's a bit wild. Additionally, too, this is his first season. To me, he has a lot of credit in the bank to try things, learn things, do big things that are, the 4-1 thing against Chelsea. Like, whatever, man. Like, he was trying to do something. Let's see. He's learning. He learns about the Premier League. He's learned more about the Premier League. He's learned more about his players. I'm fully like Ange and fully backing him all the way.
Okay.
I want to say quickly, like, the one thing that I'm not a big fan of revisionism. You know, like, I think Spurs fans do it so much. They love revisionism. They love whataboutism, and so going into this game, before the game, I said we haven't got any line breakers in this midfield. None of these midfielders can break lines, and that's going to be a problem when we're trying to counter, because they're all going to try and dribble to break the press, but they need to pass the ball. But if you think Maddison and Bentancur and Højbjerg are the people that break lines with passes, Sarr, Bizuma, Kulusevski, they're not line breakers. So to me, that was the big issue of the midfield. Apart from that, If you ask me to name who is the best performing Spurs midfielder, central midfielder right now, couldn't tell you. They're all in bad form. They're all in bad form. Every single one of them's in bad form. And that's killing Ange because he can't find a combination. There's no combination working at the moment because all of these players are in bad form. Yeah. So he goes into the season with Bazuma and Maddison as trusted lieutenants, and then you only need to rotate one position. Now, Bazuma's stinking up the joint. Maddison's stinking up the joint. Bentancur's stinking up the joint. Sarr's stinking up the joint. Kulusevski's stinking up the joint every other game. Højbjerg's stinking up the game every other half. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's there's nobody in midfield is playing well. And that to me means that any criticism of his midfield selections is heavily mitigated because there's no combination that's justified. Going into that game, any midfield you give me, I could make justifiable claims why they shouldn't start because of their performances in previous games. So then if you then say, why didn't he play this midfield? Because those guys were stinking up the joint too. So it's like, that's why I can't have criticism for the midfield selection apart from the composition of the style of midfielders together. You criticize that, I'm with you. Apart from that, no, because they're all terrible at the moment.
Yeah. Can I just say, I just want to pick up on Paul Reeves's point here for you, Arthur, and I think 201 and KB make similar points. Look, he says, can play in Scotland, but definitely not in the Premier League, and Ange needs to change something or it's going to get worse because his style is 100 miles per hour and it's killing the players. And then 201 and KB says, Ange ball is highly effective, mate, just only outside the Premier League. Are you in agreement with that statement, Arthur?
No, not at all. Not at all. I mean, like, what are the predominant styles? And obviously, they're not exactly the same, but there are some predominant ethics here around holding on to the ball, about being proactive, around attacking tight spaces, around moving the ball quickly, around having forward players popping up in different positions. There's huge similarities in terms of approach to Liverpool under Klopp, to City under Guardiola, to Arteta, to Arsenal under Arteta. I mean, that's a little bit different. They have gone a little bit more pragmatic this season. But that doesn't mean that is the right or wrong thing to do. What that means is there is a manager there who is authentically coaching a team the way he authentically wants to coach his football team. We want our manager to do that as well. And we want that approach to chime with what we see as our ideal vision of our club, you know, and we like playing good football and having a ball and being proactive and all that kind of stuff. But what you want is a manager who is authentic about his approach, who's clear, who's evangelistic as far as I'm concerned about his approach. That doesn't mean he doesn't make tweaks. That's just a lazy journalism reported. Like, you know, you start Højbjerg, that's different to starting Bentancur, right? That's different to starting Basuma. There are differences there. And I'm in complete agreement. That is our biggest problem. Like, we don't have any of our midfielders who are on form. When you put it like that, that's been like that for quite a while, actually.
Exactly.
And that's the last player that's been consistent. Yeah, the last player that I think has been consistent was Sarr. And he had a really
his form's disappeared now.
His form's disappeared. He struggled with it. He struggled when he was fasting, didn't he? Because he was playing half games.
But bro, listen, Sarr's 45 minutes against Chelsea. Possibly,
it was terrible.
The worst 45 minutes of any Spurs player this season.
Yeah,
he was surrounded that highly because I was watching him play and I was like, I can't believe what he's doing. Like, it was like he'd lost control of his legs.
Yeah, but that's where you think. But that's going to happen more often with a player like him because of experience. But that's when you rely on Maddison, right? That's when you rely on Bentancur behind you, or even Basuma, who's obviously got more experience.
But that's a great point because I'm watching Sarr and the roles are jumbled. Everyone's roles are jumbled up then because we keep changing the midfield. Okay, who's the playmaker? Kulu. Okay, cool.
Do you remember earlier in the season? It was so clear where everyone was. Sarr was
exactly
on that right-hand side. Maddison was left attacking, and you had Basuma just spreading it.
One of the worst things that ever happened for the team was Kulu playing in one of the central midfield positions early in the season and was playing well for like 20 minutes.
Well, he was playing well, wasn't it? That's
Yeah,
the thing.
for 20 minutes. And then since then, I'm just like, listen, if I'm Lo Celso, I'm like, this guy is not a better central midfielder than me. Why do you keep playing this guy in central midfield over me?
I'm sorry, Lo Celso has been here for what, 4 years or something, and he's never.
He's been here for like 2 of them.
Yeah, but I don't know, man. That was one of the worst.
And
But I'd say Kulu was sorting at number 10. I mean, I called out because I knew we were. There was a
no, he wasn't.
No, you know what? There was a time. There was a time where we had no Madders, no Lo Celso available. He came in, played the number 10. I think
he
even
played all right
game,
for like 2 games.
The game at the 3-3 draw. The 3-3 draw at the Etihad. He played number 10. Yeah,
and we got ran through in that midfield.
we came out with a draw.
It was pretty.
You got a point.
It was exciting because it was.
It was exciting, but who got the second goal? Who got our second equalizer? Lo Celso.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it was.
It's also man. Like
Bro, listen. Do you think that Kulusevski is a better central midfielder than Lo Celso?
How about this? Also, okay, he gets to.
No mitigation, no context, just your raw thoughts. Do you think Kulusevski is a better central midfielder than Giovanni Lo Celso?
I mean, Messi does like him. I'm just gonna say no.
He's been not seen the real Lo Celso.
There you go.
But I do think that there is context in that, and I'm not saying this is right or wrong, but when you have Kulusevski in that position, you then have a lot of other things covered if you need to change the picture of the game. If you need to take other subs off or people get injured, he's kept Kulusevski in the team a lot. He clearly, I don't know whether I agree with it or not, but he clearly sees a player that has a massive engine and he can stick him out on the right. He can stick him through the middle. He can ask him to go down and help the fullback if he needs to. He can't really ask that of Lo Celso. Lo Celso is a better number 10 for me than Kulusevski, but I can understand why Kulusevski features more because he's more useful.
What's Kulusevski got apart from the ball? Because this is my point. It's like I'm not a hater of Kulusevski, and I think in certain games, if we're chasing or we're trying to win a game, you know, there's a lot of value in him in that position. But if you are starting this guy in a central position, and I'm like, what is this guy giving you apart from ball carrying?
It really surprised me he did that against Chelsea. I wasn't expecting.
That's what I'm saying. So yeah. I'm like, your core thing is ball carrying. Listen, this motherfucker. I'm gonna call I like Kulu, but I'm gonna call him a motherfucker for this context, yeah. Because in this season, I can't think of anybody this season apart from Kulusevski who's given away the most ridiculous fouls. Yeah, that have cost us desperately.
He's also given away balls. He's given away the ball as well.
Everton away, yeah. The Brighton penalty. I'm telling you, I'm like his mistakes are tattooed in my mind, and I'm like, this guy does the most bozo things, like the most ridiculous, like the Brighton penalty. There's VAR. Why are you doing that? Yeah. Like as in against Chelsea, you know these guys have got ball strikers. Why are you giving them 25 yards out right in the middle of your goal? Bro, don't dangle a leg out. Come on, man. That's lazy. Everton away. Lazy defending. Fouls your man. They score from the set piece. Yes, we should defend the set piece, but this is the IQ thing.
He was weak against Arsenal as well, losing the ball for their second goal. He was weak.
Mate,
listen, rolling around calling for the rest.
He was technically fouled, but
like you can't in that situation roll around asking for a foul. You just got to play. It will come back or it won't come back. It's the same thing.
All the sips now.
Play the
this season. All the sips. Sorry, I was talking to the comment, but yeah, you're absolutely right, bro. Like that's what I'm saying. Like look. Kulu's position, right, as an inverted right winger, yeah, it's a position that's so rich in world football right now. It's so rich. I'm looking at our neighbours. I'm looking at our peers. I'm seeing Cole Palmers.
I'm seeing Elise.
Jackers.
Yeah.
I'm seeing Elise's.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's Dusty.
Yeah. I'm saying
Cooley's Dusty.
The left-footed right winger is a position that we have, like world football it's a factory. Do you know what I mean? It's a fact. There's players out there. Do you know what I mean? Like Foden, all these mans. So kudos. You know what I mean? Like Bowen, West Ham got 2 of them.
Trust me.
West Ham got 2 of them.
It's true.
So I'm like, why am I? And these people in the summer when we were getting Kulu, I was like, oh my god, it's a no-brainer, blah 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 blah. And I'm looking now, and I'm like, he's a good player. He's a good player, but I'm looking at his peers, and I'm like,
nice.
It's
not the output doesn't justify him to be in our squad.
I don't think he's a typical Ange player. I don't think
every coach likes him.
He likes direct wingers that just run and get the ball in the box.
Maybe he's more like a Bernardo type or something.
Nah, he's nowhere near that. I think he's just not our style. He's just a brute force, to be honest. He's just a physical presence on the pitch who has lungs. Do you know what I mean? Because he can run for 90 minutes.
And every now and again, he beats his man beautifully or puts in a great ball.
Yeah. Every now and again.
That's the problem, isn't it? That's because we want more than every now and again. And we need to see signs of more than every now and again.
We need to see that he's a big 6 player. And at the moment, so far this season, he hasn't shown anything. Look, I've got a quick question to ask, and then we're going to move on as to what we think for the next 4 games, and then what you're hoping to see maybe in the summer. But question is, and it's the question that was thrown by Paul Reeves. Has Ange Ball, have we been found out? Everyone keeps banging on about it. Ange Ball's been found out. I went to the West Ham game at the London Stadium. It was dusty. And the amount of set pieces. Have we been found out? Is it just score a set piece against Spurs and win the game? Is that what it has become? Set piece heaven. You know what I mean? Are we found out? And if we have been found out, can he truly fix it? We're in the Prem. Zeus, I'm throwing that at you first, mate.
I want to say no, just because I was looking at history at other clubs, Celtic and Yokohama, whatever it was. And traditionally, it seems like, or historically, there are issues in the first season, and he fixes them, still playing the same style in the second, whether that's maybe new personnel or something, or tactical tweaks. But it just seems true to type, true to form. And he's always, even when we were winning 10 games unbeaten, he's like, these guys are still not getting it. Yeah. So the style is not, and this is great. Like when the manager knows what's wrong, I think that's always a good sign. So there's something wrong. It has been all season, and it hasn't clicked, and he knows. And it's when he comes out and he says, I have no idea what happened, blah, blah, that's when I'm worried. So I don't think his style or his managerial approach has been found out. He's in the new league, new managers, best opposition in the world, quote unquote. And it's gonna, he's gonna hopefully adapt and learn from it.
Yeah. Arthur?
No, I don't think he's been found out. He's managing a football team. He loses some games. Some managers figure out how to play against you. Well, sometimes you have a bogey team because they really love playing against you. And, what do you do? Do you change the way you play so that you don't lose that game, but then you start losing all the other games? I mean, some things are just about like pushing on through. And at the moment, like, are we the 5th best team in the league this year? We probably are, and we're 5th. I don't think we've been hard done by. I don't think it's massively disappointing from where we were at the beginning of the season and stuff. What we were anticipating and expecting. The first 10 games were exciting, right? But we all know it's the beginning of the season. You've got a whole bunch of teams who are still finding their feet. Oftentimes you get City that don't start well, or you get a surprise few games that a newly promoted team win, and everyone's like, oh shit, they're going to do well. And apart from the Leicester City year when they won the league, pretty much every other season, ultimately things sort of level out as to what you expect, right? And the first 10 games are often not a good predictor of the rest of the season. And I don't think anyone was really genuinely getting carried away with that.
Yeah.
And I think he's just playing his style of football, and it's taking the time it takes in order for that to be something that is a bit more seamless. And I think that's what he's doing when he's not focusing on all these little details, or where people are saying, oh, why can't you just fix that? That seems so obvious. He's saying that's not how you go about big cultural massive change. That's not how you do it. You can't get distracted by the small details. They will take care of themselves. They will be able to be tweaked with ease once everything else is understood. You know, Conte had a similar thing, but in a completely different style. He just wanted everyone drilling and only doing the things that he wanted them to do. He was a fucking control freak, right? And Ange is completely different. He wants exactly what he wants, but he wants it in freedom, right? In the context of one big bubble, but freedom. And he wants all these players to know exactly what each and every one of them are doing at every single minute. We just we haven't had the time to develop that yet. So no, he's not been found out.
Yeah. Jay, you, and then I'll deal with the super chats and some of the questions in the chats after, and then a few questions. Go on, Jay.
No, I think there's almost like a natural evolution of it's like resistance, like back and forth. You know, you don't exist in a vacuum. You know, like other teams will adapt and play against you. Premier League's a very tough league. There's a lot of high quality. To me, a lot of it's about margins. You know, depending on how good a team you are, you have a certain level of margin of scope for victory. And I think that we've never had a huge amount of margin all season. Yeah. We've always been capable of losing in certain games. Some games, Vicario will make saves. Some days we'll be clinical. Some days we'll fall on the other side of the margin, like against West Ham at home, like against Wolves at home. Some days we'll play badly and get over the line. Some days we'll play badly, nearly get over the line, but then falter. So, for example, you could use a Sheffield United at home as a positive example, and you could use the Wolves away as a negative example. At both points, we were 1-0 up or down at 90th minute, and in both cases, we won/lost the game. So, margin. You know, I look at that and I say that the thing that Ange wants to do is increase our margin, to increase our ability for variance in a game. And how he's going to do that is how he's going to do that. So when people say we've been found out, it's teams understand how we play, and teams are putting out a team to try and win the game like they did before. Like they might just have more day, but they weren't trying to lose the game before. Right? When people say we've been found out, it's like, no, they were trying to win the game before. They might be having slightly more success about it now.
Yeah.
Is that found out? Are the players doing what's being told? Did Ange in the first half seem like a manager whose instructions were being taken to heart and were being implemented to a high granular level? To me, I've never done coaching, but to me, it seemed like potentially, and stay with me here, gentlemen, his instructions were not being taken on board, and actually, quite potentially, they were doing the opposite of what he was told them to do, hence why he was getting so damn mad. So when I see that kind of reaction, when I see how we're doing, it's not a case of being found out. It's a point of the players have to understand that to be a top team, you have to be switched on. You have to be focused. 100%. The first goal against Chelsea, that's not coaching. That's just simple competence. Like just simple
ball out.
Two men standing there who are not marked. So, go mark them. It's not. When somebody wants to blame Ange for that, I'm like, where is the base level of intelligence that we expect from our football team for players to know that we should not just leave two players unmarked? That I can't fathom people blaming Ange for that when that is a simple abdication of responsibility. The players.
The second goal was the same. That was embarrassing. The second goal. Well, for me, as much as I love him and find it hard to criticize him, for me that was Son. Son ran into Højbjerg. Like Son just stumbled backwards and was never going to get the ball and pushed Højbjerg away from getting the ball because he didn't know where he was. It was like I don't know. We all remember Michael Dawson, God bless him. Like, every now and again, it was calamity, right? And we just looked stupid, and we've had that a couple of times defensively.
Yeah.
And that is a little bit concerning if they weren't following his instructions. That in itself is a little bit concerning.
I mean, it's more concerning if the instructions are to just leave those players and stay in the place where you are. That's more concerning. So I'm gonna go with the side that our players are incompetent, because the alternative is quite scary. So I'm going with our players are idiots, because otherwise, so our players are fucking idiots. Let's move on.
All right, cool. Gonna deal with a super chat. Little Tim's in the building. Mary, thank you for the super chat. Dad, what are the top three dustiest clubs in London in the Premier League? Well, the top three dustiest, I think West Ham is dusty first and foremost. That team is dustier than Tutankhamun's coffin. I mean, the way they play football is horrific. Do you know what I mean? And Moyes is shameless to say he was shaking his bum when they got a point against Spurs at the London Stadium. But I feel sorry for West Ham fans, because actually, vibrant crowd, and they've had to put up with pretty much dog poo all season watching their club play. So West Ham's number one, in my opinion. The second dustiest team is Chelsea, actually. They are dusty. I know they got a result against Spurs, but even them getting a result against us, they're still dusty. They are crap. I mean, I was on a stream. They're so dusty that when I'm on stream with a Chelsea fan, I literally have nothing to say to them. I've got nothing. I say begone. There's one guy called Jay Sean. I've literally told him, shut your mouth. Do you know what I mean? You've got nothing to tell me. So I think Chelsea is dusty. The third dustiest team, I can't even say Fulham or Crystal Palace is dusty. I think Glasner's doing a fantastic job.
Nice job.
Mate, they're saucy, man. They're playing some football. I expected them to step up.
I won't say that. I wouldn't say that saucy.
Bro, with Elise and Eze, they've been playing some footy, bro. They've been playing some footy.
Like microwave Dolmio is where I put them at this current state in time. Like I'll give him time. I'll give him time. Maybe you can have some mints in a couple of weeks, but at the moment, microwave Dolmio is where it's good because you're starving. You know what I mean? Like I've been really hungry. Like you've been feeding me, tuna pasta with no mayonnaise. It's been tough, but now they're enjoying. So nice team. Let's see if they can keep how many of these players they can keep together. They're definitely losing one of Elise or Eze.
Well,
will they lose both of them?
We'll get into that today, because I reckon Spurs should be going for both those players and putting down 160 mil. But yeah, we'll get into that. And the final team, I don't know. Spurs is the second best team in London. So I don't know if that's a loaded question. I can't give you the third, but dusty? Definitely West Ham and Chelsea are dusty. I mean, Zeus, what are you saying? Or Arthur, who's the other dustiest team? Who makes up the third spot?
I'm just throwing it out there, but Brentford haven't.
Brentford's been pretty dusty this season, to be fair. They've been pretty dusty. Yeah, Brentford. I will go with Brentford as well. All right, quick. My next question, quickly, guys. I've got two more questions. Sorry, it's been good debate. Hopefully, this will only take another 20 minutes. Big up to everyone in the chat. Make sure you like and subscribe. I've got legends on the show tonight. Next question. I'm not going to lie to you guys. The way we flopped against Arsenal, the way we whimpered off the pitch against Chelsea, I harbour no hope for the next few games. I've looked at the next 4 games. We've got Liverpool, we've got Man City, we've got Burnley, and we've got Sheffield United. Arsenal fans are shaking their bum. They think we're going to do a job on Man City. I'm hoping for us to get hit by double figures by Man City, to be honest. I would hope that Man City hits us for 10, and I won't be disappointed. In fact, I'll be cheering in the pub, to be honest with you. But jokes aside, can you see us winning any games? I don't know. Morale, it does feel low. Can you see us winning any games this season? And for me, it would just be the Spursy thing to do.
We're gonna beat City, aren't we? Imagine
that. The one game we do bloody win in this run would be City. But, I just want to get your thoughts. Zeus, are we winning any more games between now and the end of the season? And who against?
I mean, I think Sheffield and Burnley, we should win those. The Liverpool game.
Burnley's been sourcing,
Sheffield, I wouldn't put it past us to lose.
No, man, you guys are negative Nancy's. Liverpool.
We lost 4-0 to Newcastle.
No doubt, no doubt. Okay, so Liverpool, I think we can actually get something from that. Just because the way Klopp has been, they've been going, right? Like the European exit, I think that's taking a toll on them. So I don't think they're really playing for much this season anymore. So I think we could get something from that game. City game, I know bogey team and all that, but we're probably gonna get trounced. Like properly smashed.
You reckon? Because we say that every year and it never happens, by the way. But I think this year it needs
this year it did, right? I mean, I know we lost to them. Was that in the cup or?
Yeah, was
the cup we lost to them.
Yeah, 1-0.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, hopefully we lose to them, right? Hopefully. I'm not putting a lot of importance on that game. And the Sheffield Burnley game, it should be. Yeah, I think the relegation table should be set by then. So. Bunch of teams, hopefully nothing to play for. So I'm expecting 7. Anything less than 7 from the next 4, and then I'm worried.
Jay and Arthur.
Yeah, we'll win games.
Arthur's going to persuade me. So you're going with 7. Jay.
So from the next, but you know what the funniest thing is both Burnley and Sheffield United look reasonably well coached. Last few weeks I've been watching them. I'm like, okay, these guys look okay, competent. Going to Chelsea, getting a point. Going to United, getting a point. I'm like, okay, shit. Do you know what I mean? Like, and in the cup, we struggled against them too. So, but yeah, no. Sheffield United last game of the season, they're gonna want to send that. So 2 wins there, 6 points. Liverpool. Thing about Liverpool game is cursed. Do you know what I mean? So I know we'll play well because we always go to Liverpool and play well. Like, we always put a performance in. We just shit the bed once it hits 89 minutes. Every year without fail. Like, there's something that happens to us in injury time at Anfield. Like, we should probably see a counselor about it. But I optimistically will put a point there too. So that will be, and then City, I think we might get something from City too. So I'm really hoping Bournemouth can get something from Arsenal.
So you're saying that we are gonna actually help give Arsenal the title,
bro? We need Bournemouth to do something because the thing is that like the thing with the fans is it's okay to say we're okay with City winning, but in real time, if you're putting in a bad performance, the fans will let you know. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And it's hard to sleepwalk to a loss. You're gonna try a bit. Yeah. We might fuck around and stumble ourselves into a result.
Fair play. Arthur.
I don't want us to. I don't want us to lose against City. I really don't. I really don't want Arsenal to win. I really don't want Arsenal to win the fucking league, mate. But there's something really deep down. There's something really miserable about sacrificing our dignity, to ruin something it's just, we don't need to do it. I think Arsenal will drop points. I think they'll drop points away at United, and that would be incredibly annoying for them because United is shit. But I think that they can drop points. I think they can get a point at United, and I think we can get a point of City, and City can win the rest, and we'll be fine. I don't want to worry about that because actually, as ridiculous as it all is, like, as frustrating as the last couple of games has been, we could absolutely go and do something at Liverpool. We could also get trounced as well, and that's sort of where we're at. But I'm going to go with the more optimistic side as well. I think we could go. I think we could get 3 wins and a draw.
Don't know about that. Okay, don't know about 3 wins and a draw with the Dustiest put up against the Chelsea. Because you know what, I just saw. We were, the performance wasn't too bad against Arsenal, but the performance against Chelsea was.
Chelsea was an aberration. There's been a couple of those, haven't there, over the season, and there's been greater extenuating circumstances every other time. Like Wolves was shit, but like it was the few days after that Chelsea debacle, right? Yeah. I think the Fulham game, remember, that was being really shit, but we also did have some injuries or people coming back from African nations or Asia Cup or whatever. But against Chelsea, there was nothing really, apart from, as Jay's already said, players just in poor form. You know, not coming back from injury anymore. Like, yes, we're not expecting Bentancur to be as consistently amazing as he had been for a period of time yet, but he's also just been a bit shaky. Like, they've all just been unconfident. They've all looked a bit kind of, they don't have much purpose in their play. They all look a little bit tentative and a little bit unsure. I haven't got a clue where that comes from. It probably comes from each other, right? So if one player can just have a blinder, it will bring everyone else's level up. But at the moment, they're in this sort of like vicious cycle where they're just feeding each other's shiteness. And it's really frustrating.
No, I hear you, and I kind of agree. I mean, I've listened, and I think I agree, but I feel like one of the things that this season has shown me, you know, because what I don't like to do is I don't like to go with the history. You know, history dictates that this usually happens. I'm like, nah, I want to move away from that. We've got to break those curses. But I have to say, this season has kind of pretty panned out as we kind of expected to. And for whatever reason, we were shit against Chelsea. We're always crap at Chelsea always beat us at the bridge. It was dusty yesterday. They beat us at the bridge. Do you know what I mean? You know, at home against, you know, away to Newcastle, or where we're at home, away again, dusty. Then a team that normally hit us with large score lines, it's happened. So with that in mind, I think Liverpool beat Spurs this weekend because we don't really get a result. Yes, it's a good game. Yes, we'll always come close, but it will probably be a Liverpool win or we'll get a draw. I think then we'll probably beat Burnley at home or get a draw because I think Burnley have been playing really well recently. I think Spurs will then beat bloody Man City. We will beat Man City, and the goal difference between Man City and Arsenal is 7. We should be allowing Man City to put double figures against us because I don't want to spend all summer with Arsenal fans trolling me on the bus or on the train how they've won the league and we haven't won the league for over 60 or 70 years. I don't want any of that crap. And at least if Arsenal don't win the league, at least we can look them in their face and go, what have you done, mate? It's been 20 years since you've won the league. That is going to go out the window. I know it's shameless to say, but the trolling that we're going to get this summer is going to be mad. But I see us beating City and I see us slapping up Sheffield United last game of the season. So for me, I see Tottenham getting 5 points. 1 win, which is City, a draw against Burnley, a possible draw against Liverpool.
Get beat by Sheffield United.
No,
8 points. It's 8 points.
You know what? Stranger things have happened, man. Sheffield United might just do us over last game of the season, man. Trust me. I'm not even away to. Yeah. It can happen, man. We probably get slapped up by Sheffield United. Okay, last question, guys. I know you got to go. Literally 5 more minutes.
I'm listening. I'm here. I'm listening. I'm still.
We've had the season. We've all said none of us is saying that Postecoglou should lose his job. From what I can hear, you're all saying give him time. What do you want to see? Now, I'm going to start it off by saying, for me, I want to see Tottenham show a bit of ambition. Lee Gunner was telling me it's Spurs. Spurs don't invest. We just do enough just to get top 4, but we don't really want to take it to the promised land. That's what he was kind of telling me. A very persuasive argument, but I want to deny it. I'm saying Tottenham need to go out and show intent. Bring in Eze and Elise. I think if we offer Crystal Palace 160 mil for those 2 players, they would sell. And for me, that would show intent. Only if Postecoglou wants those 2 players. But I think Eze and Elise solve our issues on the wing. Because Timo Werner, for me, is Alfie Zane. I do not want to see this guy back at our club in August. I think he's rubbish. He ain't ready to ride any challenges. Brennan Johnson should only come on for the last 10 minutes. So we need proper wing, and we need to start to prepare for the fact that Son will be 32 and he's just not going to be the same Son that we've all come to know and love. He's a legend, but he ain't going to cut the mustard the way that we want him to. So I want to see Eze, Elise. I think they're bringing those 2 players and a couple of unknowns like a Gem, like a Van der Ven, maybe in the number 6, because I don't think Basuma's that guy. Maybe a Polina or someone of that ilk who's I would love Gimenez, to be honest. I would love Gimenez, but we're not going to get that player. And I think Gimenez solves our number 6 problem. And I would love an Isak. If we could get someone like Isak as our striker, I think Spurs would be sourcing. But definitely, we need to be bringing in 5 to 6 players for this season. And I would love to see Eze and Elise. Anyone else who want to tell us about their wish list?
I'll go.
Go on, Chris.
So, yeah, I guess it is time to make a statement purchase. We need to bring in our version of VVD or Arsenal's, bringing in Rice. We need to bring someone of that ilk, especially on the left wing. I don't know who that player is. I don't know. For some reason, I'm thinking the Cravadonna from Napoli, but I'm not sure if he's on the left. But I know, but the Eze is, someone that's like 60, 70 guaranteed and is going to a superstar, to be honest. I think we actually need to bring in that player. Yeah. Then one thing about Spurs, I think, is that we're in a very good position. Like, we have a lot of squad players that we can upgrade. I don't think we've been in that position for the longest time. So, Richarlison, like, these are guys that don't have to go, but we can get better. That fit the system as well. So, Richarlison, Højbjerg, Lo Celso, Ben Davis, Royal. We can, upgrade on all of those players, I think, and that's a total of 6 players. And of course, Europe next season, so there should be enough minutes to go around. So that's what I want to see. 5 of those guys upgraded, 5 going out, and then one big name left wing player, like 60, 75, 80 mil. But it's a big season for Daniel. Like, he kind of has to do this, I feel.
He has to pull his fingers out, mate, and start spending some money. Arthur and then Jay, what do you want to see? Wishful thinking.
I think, well, if like Ange is to be believed, they've sort of already highlighted what they're doing, and that where we finished was never going to be a factor in terms of the money being spent for this.
So they claim.
So they claim. Right? And that sort of makes kind of sense, because you spend the money that you have, and that's going to impact money down the line. So it's not as simple as like this money they've already got, they've already assigned it. They don't just like go, what should we spend this month? They've planned ahead. They're a fucking business. So I think there is an element of truth in that. We have spent more than others recently. I think he has shown indication that he might. He clearly wants a top draw, direct left winger.
Yeah.
He's basically said as much. He said that that's an area that they want to improve in. I mean, I love a Nico Williams, the Spanish Nico Williams.
Yeah.
Plays with Bilbao.
Yeah.
So I mean, that would be your marquee signing. Very hard to get, I think, but that would be your marquee signing. And I think you're absolutely right. I think we need another midfielder. I think we need another number 6, or someone that can play that number 6 role and number 8 role. We've obviously got some youngsters coming in, haven't we? We've got Bergvall coming in. He's a number 8, probably more like. But Postecoglou's also gone on about he doesn't really. He kind of wants to move away from going, here's a number 6 and here's a number 8. He wants them all to be able to do that job the same way he wants his forward players to be able to go across the line. Yeah. I don't know who that player is in terms of what we could realistically get. My knowledge in that area is not particularly good. But yeah, that needs improving for sure. And we need to decide what we're doing with our young centre halves. Ashley Phillips, what we're doing, is he staying out on loan for development? And if so, we need to get a left-sided centre half to cover Van der Ven.
I think so.
And probably cover on the fullbacks as well. Although I probably imagine we will keep Davies in the squad for the next season. I don't think he's going to be a starter, but I think in terms of knowledge and experience and understanding and the connection with the manager, I think as a worst case kind of backup, I think he can still do a job in a couple of positions. So I don't think he'll be gone.
I think he did all right at centre-back, to be fair. I think people were so easy to criticise Ben Davies, but the truth is, when we needed him to step in, he did all right, man. He did a job. I just don't want to see him at left-back. I think, actually, if he's going to come in and play left centre-back, it is better than left-back. I just think the pace he's getting on is too much, and I think he was lazy of I think it was a bit arrogant of Postecoglou to think Ben Davies could stop Saka. I just don't know what was going through
I
his
just
mind.
don't know what his alternative was, though. Really,
Emerson Royale. Just don't play the inverted fullback. Tell Emerson Royale just to frustrate and kick the crap out of Saka. That's the tactic. Simple.
I'm going to be honest. I think, and I love him, and he's, I wouldn't ordinarily criticize him because he had a great season. But Van de Ven had a different role when he's playing to his left side. He's got Ben Davies and not Udogie. He has a different role to play, and he wasn't supported. He wasn't supporting Davies in that position, and I think that was a failure of him as well as Davies. Obviously, Davies isn't as good as Udogie, but we've got the fastest player in the Premier League still in and around that position. We shouldn't be getting beat by Saka down the left.
Yeah. No, fairs. Jay, wishful thinking. What are you hoping for?
I'm a pragmatist. I'm a logical man, so you can't. Nothing I will say is wishful. Like it's like I thought to myself, who is my number one wing target?
Yeah,
number one, and it's feasible we get him, and that's what makes it. People will say Nico Williams, and I'll be like, nope, nope. I'd take him. He's a very good prospect, but looking at our system, how we play, what we do, is Rafinha with a bullet. Rafinha should be number one with a bullet.
He's not been playing that well in Spain, though. I hate it. I like Rafinha.
Think about profile. Yeah? Think about his skill set and what he can do. Yeah? And then imagine him in our system. Yeah? He's quintessentially the perfect player for our system because of his ball striking as well.
Yeah.
You see what I mean? So he would give us a winger that he can do 10 goals a season from the wing because he was doing it at Leeds.
Yeah.
Do you see what I mean? So
I don't mind. I know.
26, 27, prime age, like you're gonna get some quality out of him. Whether he'll want to leave Barcelona.
Well, I was speaking to a guy on another channel who's in Spain. I was on his channel like 2 weeks ago, and Meta, I think, and he was saying that Rafinha's been poor this season in Barcelona. It's just not been cutting the mustard. Because I said I wouldn't mind seeing Rafinha and Neto. I don't think we can afford just one winger. I think we need two badass wingers. For me, if it's Neto, if it's Rafinha, then bring in Neto. If it's Eze, then bring in Elise. That's what I'm thinking. But go on, Jay. Continue. So you're saying Rafinha and is there an and, or do you think he does it? Yeah.
No, Rafinha, Illing Jr. I'm a huge fan of Illing Jr. I think for the money he costs, you can't get better than him. I think he's quality. The one thing that people are really underestimating, and I don't think people understand the most, Johan Lang, obviously, our technical director, how you want to break it down. He obviously was at Villa, yeah. So he's the one who brought Bailey and Diaby, and he's the person that brought these players in.
Yeah.
So it tells me, obviously, the data for Morgan Rogers and stuff. I'm assuming that data was already there. Yeah, like I'm assuming they've been tracking this guy for a little while. Otherwise, they wouldn't have spent 25 million in January on him because they could see how he was playing, and they were like, if we leave this till summer, we might not get him. But he was able to get Diaby and obviously Bailey and stuff. So he knows the skill set needed to be a highly effective wide man in the Premier League. He knows the data to look at in order to. So to me, I'm so calm about that. I know we're going to bring in good wingers, but what you see with the data with Werner is how data can be somewhat misleading.
Tell me about it.
Well, not in a rude way, but it's like, for me, Werner's got everything apart from ball striking, but ball striking is so important in football, in top wingers, that when he doesn't have it, it's a massive issue. Do you know what I mean? So Illing Jr., Rafinha, I mean, whatever midfielder. I like
Polina from Fulham. Polina.
I don't think he's disciplined enough, man. He's not disciplined enough. He'll
No,
we
two
don't need
things is,
someone like that in front of Romero. He'll
yeah,
he's
and also
10 yellow cards a season, man. Paulinho.
more also with him, it's like people need to understand that even in our system, anybody can look bad out of possession because all of a sudden you're covering vast areas of space and people are just running at you. So even the very best DMs, you stick them in our system and it's not logical, they will struggle too. They will look exposed. So it's I want a 6, but then you're almost trying to say like, and bring me Rodri, because that's what we need in our system. You need someone that consistent, that ability off the ball, the ability. Even Rice, technically in our system, he'd be safe. He wouldn't lose the ball, but he wouldn't necessarily help the play. So, tactically, there's little things like I'd like to see them make Dorrington like a version of Ben White. Do you know what I mean? I'd like to see us do things like that. Do you know what I mean? Show me, do you know what I mean? Like Alfie Dorrington, right? He's good on the ball. Could he step in as an inverted right centre back?
Yeah.
Little things like that. So I'm not really. The rest of it is because everything's so data orientated now. I don't get too high or low about potential targets. It's just like I'm sure there's a reason for it. Do you know what I mean? If they say Gallagher, fans were like, no, all season. Now fans are starting to see the benefits of Gallagher in our midfield, what he would bring to our team. To me, it's quite clear. Like
this is exactly it. This is it. The whole thing should be exciting, so long as we believe that the club will back the manager, which I think actually I do from all the chat. And we don't have a manager who's saying, give me 150 million quid for this player, otherwise I'll be pissed off. He's spoken openly about how he likes to operate in the transfer window. And if someone gives him 100 million quid, he's going to think about 2 players for 50 rather than 1 for 100. That's the way he operates. Yeah. And if we back him, that's what's exciting because he knows exactly what he wants. He knows exactly what he wants. And that's so exciting. He won't have anyone there that can't buy into his system.
So are you saying then that Brennan Johnson will come good? Because I'm not going to lie to you, Brennan Johnson.
But to be fair, like Brennan Johnson has already come good for what one might expect for a player of his age, making a move like that. No matter what you think about like the price tag or whatever, he's still a young player moving to a different club for the first time in his career, a much bigger club, playing a different style of football. He has still contributed, scored and assisted goals and has shown himself to be a player that could, if he develops to consistency, which you only can do with time, could be really effective for us, Brennan Johnson. He could be really, especially if we get the other side. The balance is like he wants those 2 wingers to be able to do that. And if one of them isn't doing it properly, it takes the attention away from this one. Like there's been the odd like fleeting moment that we've seen Werner fleetingly being excellent with Johnson fleetingly being excellent at the same time, and they've set each other up. They've scored goals from each other. But it's so fleeting. But that's what he wants. That's why Werner, I don't think, will be made permanent. I think he's sort of kind of insinuated that in the.
He didn't know it. He didn't know the question.
Really appreciate him. He's a great player. He's got lots of attributes, but we need to see where there are gaps that need filling. Haven't made a decision. So, I don't think he's the answer. I don't think Postecoglou thinks he's the long-term answer to our left wing kind of question.
Werner is just Werner as a bench option.
Say that again, mate.
Werner as a bench option.
No,
I mean, it depends how you're building your squad because you want to make sure that young players have a route to the first team. You also need homegrown players. So I'm not against it being an option if it fits in with our overall squad. But if that's taking a place away from a player that we could develop or a homegrown player to keep our quota, I think I don't know. I don't hate him the way a lot of people hate him. I think he can be really effective. I think he is do you know, like, you ever watch field hockey at the Olympics or whatever, and they bring on the penalty taker. There's like an expert, like penalty free kick taker. They can sub in off. They only ever come on to do that one job. And that works in hockey. And that's basically what Werner is. Like, he's got one thing that can sometimes be really, really difficult to deal with. But he doesn't have enough things, basically.
Yeah, I totally agree. Big up. I
Yeah.
totally agree. Yeah, no, 100%. Big up Fidget06. Big up, love and respect. Thank you for the love. Thank you for the super chat. Been sending love all day today. Big up to you. So I guess, look, it's been a great chat. We've all concluded that On stays in. People shaking their bum, getting angry. We need to give him time. We need to give him process. We're looking forward to what he's going to bring in over the summer. The one thing he did say, can I just lastly, we are going to go, I promise 2 minutes. He said we're going to be in a title race. Do you believe him for next season? Because that's quite a bold thing to say from a manager. I've never heard that. I mean, he's talking the next season already. And I thought, wow, that's pretty bold. I like it. But with what I've seen these last couple of days,
I don't think I sort of don't really think he said it either. He didn't really say that.
He said he was going to build a winning team or something. Like
he says he expects his team. He even said today he expects he expects the team to be competitive. But he said he expected it this season. It doesn't always happen. He just mean he's not. He goes into every season like that. He thinks that he doesn't think he will be the end.
And also, like, you've got to understand from the point of view of, like, it's, to me, I'm excited because it's like, think of it like a puzzle, and we might not be able to see the full picture, but once we put a couple of different pieces in next season, the whole thing will make sense. And it's like, that's the whole point about having the faith. It's a case of saying, okay, in that first 10, 12 games of the season, it's not like those teams weren't trying to counter us. It wasn't like teams haven't tried to do that. So I don't think our style of play is going to block us being successful. I think we need to implement it much better. And that, to me, is where the new players come in. Because you put, even if I look at our team now and I say, right, put Rafinha and Gallagher in this team. Yeah. And I think you have 10 more points, 15 more points. Do you know what I mean? Because I think that those players add clear things that the squad is lacking right now. But then we need a technical midfielder who can take the ball in midfield, who's calm, who can dictate the play. You know, it's a case of saying, is that Bergvall? Is that him? Is he going to give us that we lack this season? Because will Benson call with a full preseason? Can he give us that next season?
But also not panicking if we can't find what we need. That's the other because that's something, not changing the plan. There has to be ways to adapt and make sure that you still make progress, right?
Exactly. And the thing is like just enjoying the journey. That's the thing. Is like, obviously the journey don't feel too nice right now, but you know, optimism, all that sort of stuff. So yeah, let's look forward to it, man. It should be fun.
Big up. Zeus, any last comments?
I mean, I was right. I was right in the sense that, you know, I said I would take 8th place at the beginning of the season, and I've never wavered from that. So to me, this has been a very successful tenure for, you know, a manager in his first season in pretty much the toughest league in the world. So, yeah, I was right in that way. Never wavered.
Yeah. No, big up. No, thank you. Look, thank you for everyone that joined us in the chat this evening. It's been a good debate. Arthur, thank you. Jay, thank you. Zeus, thank you. Make sure to tune in. We will be back this weekend against Liverpool. So we've got no wins predicted against Liverpool. We've been shattered.
A point.
So Arthur says a win. Zeus is gone with a point. So Arthur, what's the score?
3-2.
3-2 Spurs.
Yeah, 2-3.
Mate, we don't look like we're going to score against anyone, but we're highly optimistic. Zeus, what are you saying?
2-1. 2-1 Spurs.
What? You shifted. 2-1 Spurs.
Oh, my bad.
What are you saying, Jay?
Yeah, I'll stick with that. 2-1 Spurs. Liverpool they're not playing anything. Yeah.
What did you say?
3-2 Spurs.
Really?
Yeah, why not?
I predicted that we were going to lose.
No Van Dijk.
No Van Dijk. I predicted that we were going to lose 2-1 to Chelsea. I just knew it. I'm sorry, guys. I
wasn't confident going into Chelsea.
Yeah, I think we get slapped 3-0 by Liverpool this weekend. I think we're getting slapped.
Yikes.
Sorry, guys. I feel a little bit like John. John John, lastly, before we leave, John's comment, it just made me smile. He said, Spurs have broken my optimism, the optimism I had. I need to be surprised. And then John says, a manager can make a mistake, so trust the manager at all costs is delusional. Big up to everyone. We'll leave you with that comment. Thank you, everyone. See you again soon. We might be streaming tomorrow on Sunday. And good night.